Welcome. We're joined by Steve Priest from Sweet. How are you today, Steve?
I'm fine, thanks.
Well, it's great to be here with you. I know La Cañada is the home, and like I say, it's a nice sweet spot of LA. You're kind of looking down on everything. But take us back. Where did you grow up, and kind of tell us how you got hooked into music? Were there records were you buying or listening on the radio, or what kind of hooked you into music?
The Shadows.
Okay, Hank Marvin.
Yeah.
Shadows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear.
Apache was the first song that I fell in love with.
Yeah, I hear from a lot of the Brits that say that the Shadows were huge and a big influence.
Yeah, they were. They missed out in America because some Dutchman did Apache here.
Okay.
I can't remember
They
his name now.
stole their thunder.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Yes, I know the feeling somehow.
Yeah, it's like Pat Boone covering Little Richard or something. Huh?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Well, tell us how you gravitated to picking up your instrument, and how you eventually moved to bass, and how the Sweet Shop came together.
Jet Harris from the Shadows was my influence as far as bass goes. I don't know, there was something about him that I just went, I've got to play bass.
Mm.
I don't know what it was, but it was just different.
Yeah. And it kind of fell right in for you and
Yep.
came natural.
Yep.
Now, tell us about, like I say, how the Sweet Shop kind of came together and became what we all know as the Sweet.
There were two bands. There was I was in a band called the Army,
Mm-hmm.
and I did a show in Ealing, which is a suburb of London, with Brian and Mick, and I don't know, it just sort of came together somehow.
Mm.
Because Mick was thrown out of the band, so Brian decided that he was leaving too, and then we just decided to become a four-piece.
Okay. Kind of gravitated together with your
Yes.
like-minded energies.
Well, it was, we were both in 8-piece bands, and
Oh, wow.
there was, money didn't go that far.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, when it stretches out that big, what is that? That's keyboards and horns, or what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
That makes 8 pieces. That's a big group.
that is a big band.
Yeah.
Which is nice in some ways, but it was hard to keep together.
Yeah. Now, what did you see early on in Brian that you thought he would be, a great singer?
Oh, that's hard to say. He had something about him that was... He was obvious somehow that he would be... I don't know. He just had a great presence.
He kind of had the charm. He was a good front man and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
smooth vocals.
Yeah.
And what about Mick? We know he eventually became the powerhouse drummer.
Same again. Both of them just sort of, I don't know, they were obvious.
Okay. Just kind of clicked, and they liked your
Yes.
bass playing. And was there a common love for the Shadows, or what was your musical interest?
Cream.
Okay. Cream at that point.
Yes.
So Eric Clapton and
Yeah, that was the thing was small and simple.
Okay.
Yeah, small
Nice.
and effectively simple.
Right. Nice power trio. And,
Yes, exactly.
okay. And then Andy Scott joined the band, and talk about how the machine worked back then, because I know there were, the producers, and they would kind of churn out the songs, and in most cases early on already have the tracks done, and bring in the vocals, which obviously you guys eventually revolted.
Yeah, that's what we did. Yeah.
But back then that was common.
Yeah.
Producers would kind of have their session guys, and they would just bang out songs.
It was the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
And easiest and cheapest.
Right.
And
So by the time the vocals came in, everything was already done. Here, you sing this
we
part.
just came in and sang.
Wow.
And for some reason, the three of us at the time, before Andy, we just knew what our parts were. A three-piece harmonies, and we just came in and sang them.
Yeah.
It was just easy.
Well, obviously, from that era, things started happening pretty fast for you in '68 with Funny Funny and Coco and Lil Willie and Papa Joe and all that. Obviously, Little Willie really started taking hold here in America.
Yeah,
but
we didn't know what was going on there. We
Sure.
just went, yeah, all right, fine.
So it was pretty much a kind of a machine, and you guys felt kind of like you were just a spoke in the wheel. You weren't really in control of the...
No, not at all. We had no idea what was going on. And nor did they, actually. That, it was like, yeah, fine, all right, we'll have that one then.
Now, what was the label in the UK?
I can't remember.
Because I remember by the time you came out here, it was on Bell, and then obviously eventually EMI and Capitol. But I was curious, kind of what the first label was in the UK. But obviously, it was around 1970. It was what we look back as that golden era. The songs were catchy. People started dressing up.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden,
oh yeah, that just got on a roll. It was like, let's see how silly we can get.
yeah.
How silly you get.
So you had the weekly UK papers, the music papers would obviously, they're always looking for a new story or a new picture or new...
The NME and Musical Express.
Melody Maker and any of that.
Yeah, Melody Maker, yes.
Okay. And then Top of the Pops was already on the air at that point?
Oh yeah, it had been for a few
What was that,
years,
like the big Friday night show, or when?
The Thursday night.
Was it? Okay. And a lot of people would get turned on, obviously, through the BBC.
Oh, you had to have Top of the Pops, otherwise you wouldn't get a hit.
Yeah.
So that was part and parcel.
Okay.
If you got on Top of the Pops, then you would
So
get
all
a
the
hit.
kids are watching that.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. So now, Mike Chapman, Nicky Chin in the camp, obviously churning out, these songs, and Phil Wayman, becomes involved. What was the obvious difference, when Phil's working with you as opposed to Mike and Nicky, or were they just simply the writers and Phil was always producing?
Phil was the producer.
Okay.
He'd been producing for a while. He knew how to put a record together.
So he was good at recording and structure and mixing and
with sounds.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to his drum sounds.
yeah.
And that was the basis of us. So it used to take ages to get drum sounds together, but it was because of that, I think, that they made the songs.
Sure. Now, you're always known, obviously, for catchy choruses, and having grown up with the Beatles and Top 40 radio, we gravitated to hooky songs that you wanted to sing along with, and instantly memorable.
Yeah.
Tell us about how you developed the high pitched vocal harmonies. Was somebody influence you on that, or is it naturally you tried something that worked?
No, it just came. with before Andy joined the band, we had 3-part harmonies. We didn't even have to work them out. We just sang them. We knew what they were.
Okay.
We knew which parts we had, and I mean, I sang in a choir, and I don't know, it just sort of happened easily. The 3 parts, and then when Andy came along, he had a very high. He still has a very high falsetto. I don't know why, but he does, and that made it a 4-part.
So it gave it a unique sound with
I would
that
say, yeah.
high register.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, obviously, as the band developed, you guys started to heavy up, the songs more. Obviously, get away a little bit more from what we would call the bubble gum and fatten it up a little bit. Now, tell us about the '70s TV show Liftoff. What was that all about?
Oh, that was a northern show.
Okay. Like Manchester or somewhere up there? Manchester? Or?
Manchester, thank you. It was a different...
So it was more regional than Top of the Pops was?
Regional, yeah, and it was independent, so it wasn't BBC.
Okay.
And BBC was anti-Beeb.
Very rigid.
Very, very.
So Liftoff kind of let you do kind of more what you wanted to do, or get away with.
It was just different.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just, as I say, independent. It was independent TV, ITV.
Yeah.
And it was just an offshoot of whatever.
Sure. Now, Wigwam Bam, was that one of the first songs that you guys were actually able to play?
They allowed us to play on,
okay.
Yeah. Although we had played on others before that, but not with Chan and Chapman.
Okay.
Chin and Chapman, sorry.
Sure.
They wanted... Chin had no idea what was going on. He just wanted to get into the record business.
Right.
Chapman was from Australia and wanted to be a songwriter, and so he became a vehicle for them, for their songs.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, Chin was in total control because he had the money.
He was the business.
Shut up.
Mike was the ideas.
Yeah, he had the song
Okay.
ideas, and neither of them knew how to go into the studio and produce. That was where Wayman came along.
Okay.
That's what he did.
Well, obviously Mike later became the producer, but obviously at this time he's the songwriter, building up his catalog. Now, did you guys kind of lay the law down to get them to let you play? You give them an ultimatum?
We didn't have any say in anything. It was hopeless. We were penniless. We were, I just had a kid. I was 21 or something. And, we'd been on the road for 3 years by then. The original band, with Frank Torpy. And we didn't know what the fuck was going on, quite honestly.
Yeah.
We just wanted to earn a living.
Sure.
And they Chin decided to put us on a £20 a week retainer, which for me was like gold.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
But they obviously knew you guys were itching to play and kind of eventually.
Yeah. No, we'd been doing clubs for like 3 years before that.
Right.
All over England. Mainly working men's clubs.
Right.
Which are great fun. Not.
So now the hits started continuing to pop off with you guys playing on it. Blockbuster being the first number one smash.
Yeah.
What do you remember about, Blockbuster coming together? What made that song special?
I don't know. It was very strange. It was the same time as David Bowie came out with Gene Genie,
Okay.
which was the same riff.
So it's
I'm a man.
similar riff.
Oh, it was totally the same riff.
Who came out first?
Came out at the same time.
Is that right?
Yes.
Just total coincidence.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know how coincidental it was. In those days, in record companies, A&R would leave their doors open and go, listen to what I've just found.
Right.
So,
They're incestuous.
yes.
Everybody's stealing.
Yeah, everyone was stealing from everyone
Yeah.
else. And so it's just funny that Gene Genie and Blockbuster came out the same time.
Right.
We came in at number 1 and Gene Genie came in at number 2.
Amazing.
Mm.
And then Hellraiser, which, ever since Motley Crue came out with Kickstart My Heart, which I just saw
Kickstart
Vince
my
Neil,
Hellraiser, yeah.
saw Vince Neil a couple nights ago. An amazing riff that still continues today. But what can you tell us about Hellraiser? Because probably one of your hardest songs, the scream at the beginning, and you guys were definitely heavying it up at that point.
Oh yeah, actually, when they gave us that on Chin Chapman gave it to us on a cassette. Here's a very basic demo, and we were in Hong Kong at the time for some reason, and we listened to it and went, what the hell is that? It's awful. And it was so basic, and we had to sit down and we went out and rehearsed it, and sort of it came together slowly.
Yeah.
Very slowly.
Well, I know over in the UK you had different kind of order of albums. You were very much a singles band. They were churning out the singles, and they started making the compilations, Sweet Fanny Adams and all that. Here's an import here, Strung Up, which was a live album and a compilation of singles.
Yeah.
Okay. The studio album had Action, Fox on the Run, Set Me Free, Ballroom Blitz, Solid Gold Brass, The 16s.
Well, that was all off Sweet Fanny Adams.
Okay. So obviously you had kind of a different series of albums, back then.
It was very confusing.
Yeah.
I'm
Different
afraid.
versions, and of course Teenage Rampage, where was that recorded, where you had the live, the fans chanting, "We want sweet"?
That was us.
Is that right?
Yeah, that
As you in the
wasn't fans,
studio
that was us and
replicating
our roadies.
replicating a crowd.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Well, of course, here in America, we really got introduced to you guys, with the Desolation Boulevard. I grew up all over the world. I was living in Panama, Central America, of all places, when this came
Really?
out. Yeah.
Wow.
Having just lived in Ohio and Texas. But yeah, no, Ballroom Blitz I'm hearing on like American Forces Radio.
Oh,
And
yes.
and then I'm seeing this image of the Sunset Strip here, which later I would obviously move to in 1980. But
That is a compilation. We were standing in front of a brick wall,
sure.
and they
I figured.
superimposed it.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit. This was obviously a compilation for America. Capitol Records, signed you guys for America and put this compilation together. So this was kind of from Sweet Fanny Adams and maybe another record.
Yeah.
Now, the title, Desolation Boulevard, what was that about? Who came up with that?
That was from the 16s.
Okay.
It's from the lyrics of the 16s. On Desolation Boulevard, they
Right.
light the faded lights. And for some reason we picked that out and went, that's a great title.
Sure. Now, whose idea was it to put the Sunset Strip behind it? Was that Capital US?
Absolutely no idea.
So somebody probably over here said Desolation Boulevard might be the Street of Dreams in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Filthy McNasty's not there anymore.
Right. No, not much of this is there anymore.
No.
Power Burger and all of that. So now, obviously, Ballroom Blitz was the big breakthrough here in America, you know, from this album, and you know, really got you on top 40 radio and all that. Tell us about the making of that song. You got the famous intro where Brian is, you know.
That was Chapman's idea.
Okay.
Because at the time nobody really knew who the band was, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They were impersonal. So he said, okay, why don't I introduce the band? Are you ready, Steve?
Yeah.
Mick, Andy, blah, blah, blah. And that's how that started.
Sure.
But again, the demo of that was awful. It was only when Phil Wayman went, I've got a good idea for this. And we went, please tell us because we're struggling. And he went, well, do Sandy Nelson, See You in My Drums. Dibba-dabba-dibba-dabba-dibba-dabba-boom-ba-dab. All of a sudden it came alive. Mm-hmm. Otherwise the song was a piece of crap.
So Mick really helped make that song with that driving beat?
That was Phil Wayman.
Okay. But I mean, Mick obviously played it and made it a staple live.
Yes.
Amazing. And obviously from this album, of course, you had Fox on the Run come out after that, which is again an endearing classic. Tell us about that song.
That came out at like 2 o'clock in the morning. We had the verses written and we were getting very tired and fed up. And eventually I went, okay, Fox on the Run. You're screaming, everyone will come, blah, blah, blah. How's that? Finished. And that's how it came out.
Yeah. Quite an anthem for the times, like I say.
Yeah, well, simple is effective.
Yeah. Well, obviously, many bands have covered it, and it kind of set the way for the early 80s, the bands like we talked about, from, you know, Motley Crue to Poison and all those groups that came out. Now, obviously, as you said, the whole glam thing was kind of a bit of a joke. You know, musically there was great artists and you guys were clicking, but the whole glammed up for Top of the Pops or for the pictures or that was all kind of just a joke you were having and just kind of.
Well, it was not so much a joke. It was well, yeah, it was, but the fact is that we were all
competition.
It was it was like let's see how
glamming
stupid
each other.
we could get before somebody else did it.
If Marc Bolan had a feathered boa, you had to go one notch more.
Exactly. It was like, all right, he did that, we'll do this. And everyone was going, what the hell is going on?
Well, obviously the Nazi armband on the German uniform, that probably got a little attention.
It got a lot of attention. I wasn't being a Nazi, I was being a swish Nazi, if you like. The whole thing was a joke again, but it fell on deaf ears at the time, I'm afraid.
Yeah. What was so crazy about that time, obviously, you guys are having a great time. The girls are going crazy. They're screaming at the shows. But the older Brits we're probably looking at you guys like you were a horrible influence, like these homosexuals were taking over.
Yeah, you
And they had no idea what was going
I
on.
got no idea. It was all tongue in cheek, and you know, the swishier we got, the worse it got, or the better it got, whichever way you look at it.
Right, the girls loved it, the androgynous
Yeah,
look, and of course Bowie was doing his thing with Ziggy and
yeah, everyone was into it.
Yeah.
With
MOTT THE HOOPLE and Bowie and
yeah,
Slade and
I never got SLADE as being.
well, Dave Hill, I guess, got kind of wild with the hair and
Yeah,
the
I
glitter,
guess so.
but
Yeah,
obviously
no,
Naughty was never going to be too glam.
No, I like him.
Yeah, what a voice.
Yes.
Okay, guys, so what's going on? So now, obviously, in America, it starts to really take off with the Desolation Boulevard album, and then Give Us a Wink. The follow-up album had Action on that.
Yeah,
Which
well,
is another
which was
classic.
we didn't do that for the album. We did
Okay.
that as a single, but it was decided for us to put it on Give Us a Wink. It doesn't even match up with the sounds. It was done in a different studio completely.
Oh, wow. Well, obviously, it's taken Sweet to another level, you know, following up. I mean, the hardest thing in this business is to have a hit and then to be able to follow it up. And Action comes out and really gives you guys a surge, you know, with the Give Us the Wink album. What was your feeling at that point? Because I know initially coming to America, you're opening for a lot of bands that were probably a little incongruous to Sweet's, you know, eventual audience or the sound. You know, you're getting on
What do you
with
mean, Bob Seger?
yeah, you're getting on with whoever the record label or the agency could get you on with.
Well, it was level-headed when we came out with Bob Seger.
Yeah,
And it was strange because usually when you open he opened for us years before, believe it or not.
okay,
And then we opened for him, and it was just at the time that Level Headed was taking off. And so it was strange because usually if you're an opening act, you got about 4 people in the audience.
mm-hmm.
We used to have a full house
Okay.
by the time, you know.
So they came early.
Yes, and we'd have a full house doing our songs, and eventually we were co-headlining him with him, even though he had still the same and all those.
Right, Night Moves and all that
That's
stuff.
right, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you had the Off the Record album, and you had Level Headed.
Yes.
Love Is Like Oxygen again gave you guys another.
Yeah, that
boost.
That gave us a leg up.
Yeah. Anytime you can get on American radio, you've got probably doing headline shows here in America at that point, and
Eventually, yeah.
you know, being able to play to more of your audience in theaters. I know you played out here at the Santa Monica Civic. Was
Yes.
that a nice headline show here in America for you?
Yeah, it was 1975,
Okay.
and then again in 76. And Richie Blackmore came on stage and on the second show
Okay.
to do All Right Now.
Did 2 shows in the same night or 2 back-to-back days?
No, it was 2 years later.
Oh,
It was,
wow.
it was 75 and 76.
Okay. So now, how did Richie know you guys?
I knew, we knew Purple, Deep Purple when they first started.
Okay.
When they were first put together, we went to one of their first shows, in fact. So we knew them for some reason. So it was. So they were friends of ours, in a way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So he was in town, and you guys were playing, popped down to
Yeah.
hang out and ended up jamming, or was it predetermined he was gonna get up with you guys, or?
Yeah, it was. I don't know how that happened, but No one to ask anymore. But we wanted him to come up and do all. Oh, it was when the guitarist.
Paul Kossoff?
Yes, when he died.
Okay. So a little tribute to Paul.
As a tribute, yeah.
Okay.
That was basically that.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a great time.
Yes.
Now, obviously, as you said, Sweet, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. It was as much as you dented, America, and certainly have fans all over the world. You started to have the issues with Brian.
Brian had issues with Brian.
So, heavy drinker, got in a fight in a bar, and unfortunately was outnumbered.
That was when we were doing Sweet Fanny Adams.
Okay.
We were halfway through it, and all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. I mean, really what happened. One of our roadies does, but he's not going to tell me.
So he was in the bar with him?
I think so, yeah. It was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
It was very strange, but it was heard, one of the attackers, and there was more than one, was heard to say that should do it, as he kicked him in the throat. So, rather put us back for a while.
Yeah.
You can see what I mean.
Right. So eventually it became a three-piece, and you handled most of the vocals at that point.
I decided that I still had a voice.
Yeah. So it was nice having the front man, but at this point you guys were the band. You, Mick, and Andy.
No, it was hard work from then on.
Yeah.
Without Brian, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's when Brian started hitting the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
The trouble, we were all drinkers, and he couldn't take his booze.
Okay.
Some people can.
Some people can drink and not even faze them.
It's like,
he got staggering drunk and pissed off the wrong people.
It was very easy for him to get drunk. Let's put it that way. He'd only take a few pints and it'd be all over. And we'd still be sitting there going, what's the problem?
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
But when you look back at it, obviously, huge influence. You guys at the time were doing your thing, but like I say, everybody from Axl Rose with Guns N' Roses, and of course Motley Crue we talked about, and all these bands revere that catalog, and you're out there to this day still playing these classics, Hellraiser and Ballroom Blitz, and Fox on the Run, and of course Vince Neil covered Set Me Free with Steve Stevens on his first album, and Steve later covered Action on his Atomic Playboys, his solo band, and we continue to hear the influence, No You Don't, Into the Night, all the great songs.
Well, we still do know you don't, actually.
Yeah. Now, obviously, with Give Us a Wink, was Mac involved with that? Who later worked with Queen and ELO, Reinhold Mack?
Yeah.
Was that recorded in UK or Switzerland?
No, in Germany.
Germany?
Munich.
Okay.
The Arabella Hotel.
Wow. Now, what was it like working with Mac?
Mac, he was very German.
Okay.
I don't mean that in a bad way.
The Germans have produced a lot of great stuff.
Oh yeah, no, he was very
right.
Very straight and blah blah blah.
Yeah, he's there for a purpose.
Yeah, no, we opened up the Arabella. What was it called? Musicland.
Something like that.
I think it was Musicland.
Yeah.
The actual studio, which was underneath underneath the Arabella Hotel in Munich, and we really opened it up because there was a place where the trucks came in to load it.
Yep, the load in.
Load it, right. And so we used that as an echo chamber.
Oh, wow.
We put mics up one end and drums up the other, and just used it as a.
Big
That's when
echo chamber.
Yeah, and that's when what's his name, the bass player of Led Zeppelin came down.
John Paul Jones.
Him. I don't know what his real name is.
But he
came down and he went, wow. And it was a wow at the time.
Yeah.
It was an amazing sound. And and they recorded there afterwards.
Sure. Well, obviously, Queen utilized him for classic albums, and I know your music. The Classic Suite is getting in there, and the Suicide Squad, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, and all of that. And you know, the Queen movie's doing real well. The Bohemian Rhapsody. You know.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Is it?
It is.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, the guy who plays Freddy does an outstanding job.
I've seen bits.
Yeah,
he's Freddy.
Yeah, he killed it.
No, I can imagine.
They had a couple other people that were going to play that part before, and I'm glad they made the change.
They made a wise choice from what I've seen.
Yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen would not have done that great, I don't think. But yeah, a great movie. So when you look back at that golden era, that is still alive today. People still want to hear Sweet. They still want to hear Queen. Still want to hear, you know, Mott and, you know, all this stuff. What are your best memories of that era, that music that you guys and that whole clan were responsible for there in the early 70s?
It's a whole mishmash. It was a good time, I have to admit.
Yeah.